If you've watched The Office, then you're familiar with the mild-mannered receptionist turned saleswoman Pam Beesly. She comes off as cute and sweet, but don't let that fool you. On the surface, she may seem great, but deep down, Pam is extremely problematic. In fact, in an office full of so many zany and off-the-wall characters, she might just be the worst of the bunch. Sure, Po Buddy's nerfect, as she once so eloquently stated, but there are some really troubling aspects to the character that just can't be ignored any longer. Pam Beesly, we need to have a talk. For starters, Pam Beesly is a liar. Insert the clip here of Dwight and the Pam that's standing outside the building, where he's like, "You're not a liar too, are you?" And she's like, "I've been known to tell a few tales."
Pam, get out!
She makes up her own role within the company, just deciding that she's the office administrator, and then cons everyone into just letting her get away with it. When Gabe tries to confront her about it, she doubles down on the bluff, and it somehow works. She just gets to be the office administrator after that. It's not a very good role model for Cece there, Pam. In one of her first major responsibilities as the office administrator, she relies on lies again, this time when negotiating with Dwight over office conditions. She tells him that they have another building that they're gonna move Dunder Mifflin to if he doesn't agree to be a reasonable landlord. Only that building never existed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, she just lied. It's an inexcusable lie that is easily fact-checked. That's like almost pathological type of behavior. Also, does she play volleyball or not? Because when she revisits her old high school during the job fair, she tells the audience that she has a lot of fond memories in that gym. Most notably, her favorite memory is skipping gym class by pretending to have her period so that she wouldn't have to play volleyball. However, seasons later, during the company picnic, Pam reveals that she went to volleyball camp as a kid and that she played in college. So then why was she lying about her period just to get out of volleyball, when volleyball is so clearly her jam? Which one is it, Pam? So we've established that she's a liar, but Pam Beesly is also a cheater. I mean, the obvious one is her daily flirting with Jim while being engaged to Roy Anderson. They even kiss while she's engaged. Sure, it was a finally this is happening moment for the audience. That's really not that chill though. Kissing aside, she clearly has feelings for Jim while she's very much with someone else, which is a kind of emotional cheating. Like, there's no way that she didn't know Jim was into her. If every single person watching the series could see that clearly, there's no way that she was just oblivious to it. It was obvious. I think she just liked the attention. Roy being all jealous and protective was actually completely warranted. Not only was that unfaithful to Roy, but she was totally playing with Jim's emotions throughout this phase as well. She knew he was into her and messed with him so much that he moves to a whole different city just to get away from her. And she does it again much later in the series. During the final season, she develops an uncomfortably close connection with Brian, the boom operator. Perhaps it was just a platonic friendship, but they sure develop a close bond. Close enough to know intricate personal details about one another's lives, and enough to console one another through tough times and even tears. When they go for lunch, Brian is separated from his wife. I wonder what would lead him to do something like that, or who. He also lets it slip that Pam has been crying recently, much to the surprise of her husband, Jim. There's also the fact that Pam kept Dwight and Angela's relationship a secret for such a long time, despite Angela getting engaged to Andy. Sure, this is definitely more wrong of Angela and Dwight, but Pam knew all about it and kept her mouth shut. She knew how immoral and wrong that behavior was, but she just let it slide because I guess that's not too big of a deal to her. So we've established that she's a cheater, but Pam Beesly is also a quitter. This may not be as serious of an accusation as the previous two we covered, but it says a heck of a lot about her character. For example, she goes to art school in New York to pursue her dreams, but just gives up when it gets hard and she misses home. Jim even tries being supportive and tries convincing her to stay and finish what she started, but she just quits regardless. She'd rather go back to an unfulfilling career she doesn't really like as a receptionist at a paper company because it's the safe route and she isn't willing to pursue her dreams. Rather than tough it out and continue pursuing her passion, She stays in a dead-end job that she hates where she's comfortable. The series even ends with Jim following his dreams, and Pam just trying her best to be supportive, like, come on girl, get after it. So we've established that she's a quitter, but Pam Beesly is also a jealous person. Why is she so obsessed with who Jim finds attractive? She literally takes him to a freaking makeshift lie detector test at the drugstore to get real answers. Why does she interrogate him? Just because she's insecure about herself? That's some insane behavior. She's supposed to be one of the few reasonable people in the show, but clearly that isn't the case. She also kind of ruins the relationship between Jim and Karen, who seemingly were great for each other. But no, Pam suddenly decided that she wants Jim after originally shutting him down, so she just breaks them up. How did she do it, you ask? Well, she knew for a fact that Jim had feelings for her, but Jim was dating someone else, someone really awesome, so what does Pam do? She gets back together with her ex-fiancé, Roy. Nothing says toxic behavior like rekindling things with an ex that was totally wrong for you. More than likely, it was just for show to get Jim's attention. She even starts drama by telling Roy about her kiss with Jim way after the fact. And she kind of frames it like it was totally on Jim and completely his fault, causing Roy to get heated, which is understandable. Pam creates this whole messy situation herself, and as we now know, it ends with her and Jim together, so nice work, I guess. She's just such a controlling wet blanket. Like, she seriously needs therapy. Her entire dynamic with her husband Jim seems super unhealthy. She's so controlling and overbearing about every aspect of his life because she likes knowing that she has him wrapped around her finger. The moment he starts making decisions of his own and living the life that he wants, she loses her mind. She feels like she can't control him anymore, so she gets all sad and mean and resentful. Also, earlier in the series, she gets upset with her then-fiancé Roy for getting drunk and partying too much on the company booze cruise. She doesn't let her fiancé have fun on a booze cruise. Who doesn't party on a booze cruise? So we've established that she's a jealous person, but Pam Beesly is also incredibly selfish. For example, she puts her need for a new chair ahead of the rest of the office's need for a new copier. They can only afford one, and obviously Pam fights for the option that benefits her rather than the one that benefits everyone. Also, staying within the lying theme, she lies about having lice. I put this in the selfish section because it results in the rest of the office suffering. So much so that Meredith has to shave her head. Pam would rather let Meredith take the blame for the outbreak rather than own up to it. She was also a pretty terrible salesperson, even to her own admission. Why did she keep insisting on being a salesperson? Was it her pride, her ego? Like, why do a job that you're clearly bad at? It's bad for the company, and there's no way that anyone enjoys doing something that they're terrible at. It was certainly a selfish move to insist on being a salesperson when she clearly wasn't cut out to be a salesperson. So we've established that she's selfish, but Pam Beesly is also a hypocrite. To me, this is the biggest one of all. For starters, she doesn't support Jim pursuing his passion, despite him totally supporting hers. He was fully on board with her decision to pursue an art career and go to New York for months, but she was fully against his decision to start a business with his pals in Philly. In fact, she was pretty angry that Jim made the decision without consulting her first. I'll remind you, this is the same person who quit Dunder Mifflin on a whim to join the Michael Scott Paper Company without consulting Jim first. Her entire attitude towards Jim's decision and new exciting career path is so unhealthy. She can't even talk about it or communicate. She just grows more and more resentful and mean. At one point, Jim books a meeting with his childhood sports hero, Dr. J. Julius Erving. Rather than be happy for her husband, the man she loves and should be happy for, she just gets upset that he's having fun while she isn't. Jim can't even tell her all the details and feels the need to lie to his wife to avoid an unwanted situation. Do you have any idea how unhealthy that is within a relationship? She also mentions her resentment towards Jim for buying the house without talking to her first. Sure, when he originally shows it to her, she says that she loves it, but she admits in later seasons that it was wrong of him to do something like that without consulting her first. So what does she do? In the series finale, she goes and sells the house without telling him. Also, when Roy wanted to get married right then and there on that booze cruise, Pam says she doesn't want to get married on a boat without her parents there. And then what does she do a couple seasons later? Yep, you guessed it, she marries Jim on a boat without her parents there. Classic Pam Beesly. Also, she's just not a very good artist. What do you think? How do you feel about Pam Beesly? And if not her, then who's your favorite Office character and why? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Before you go, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to ScreenRant to stay up to date on all of our latest releases. Until next time, bye!